the Woodpreneur Podcast, where sawmill owners and lumber entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Every week, real stories from the timber industry, whether you're starting small or running a big operation. Subscribe for real stories and insights from the industry.
Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Alger, and today I have with me Zach Wicks of Wick Woods. Right? Did I say that right?
I would Wood by Wicks, but it's okay. You know, I get a lot of people that say Woody by Wicks, and they whatever you want to call it.
All right. Well, we'll want to know exactly because we're going to direct them to your Instagram page later.
Yeah.
Start following all the really cool things that you do. So, Zach, I have followed you for a long time. I know you do a lot of milling. Tell me a little bit about how you got started, how long you've been at it, and anything interesting about your company.
Interesting. So when I started, we used to have land many years ago. We sold it like 9 or so years ago, but it started from me salvaging cedar trees off property that we owned, and I took these cedar trees to a sawmill. I started doing that, and then I just loved the grains, and I was selling like a little bit of wood at that time. This wasn't my full-time job. Like, I've been working for myself for 17 years, so all I know is like working for myself. It was just kind of like a side deal. And then remodeling houses. Yeah, so like fixing houses, doing granite, tile, all that stuff, flooring, woodwork, drywall, repairs. But anyway, so like the wood kind of came into play around 2013, 2014, cutting logs off of my dad's property and taking them to sawmills. And I did that for a few years, and then I started salvaging other logs around the state. People like, hey, do you want this log? And then you get it, and then you have to find a way to get it on the trailer, which is kind of difficult.
So you're hiring like custom sawyers to mill these for you at that time?
Yeah. So there was a company in the city called Oklahoma City Sawmill, and they were in business for over like 30 years. You know, an older individual, John Little, great guy. And then Tim was the sawyer. So like for 4 or 5 years, I was taking logs to them and they were cutting my wood. And I just saw in like 2017 or 2018, I needed to buy my own sawmill. And that's what I did.
So you're taking these cedar logs. Now what kind of cedar do you guys have out there?
Western red cedar, it's very pink whenever you cut it. You know, there's sapwood. Typically there's a bunch of bark inclusions throughout the logs. So like really nice cedar is hard to find.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we need to ship you some cedar.
Yeah, I wished I was in California. I'd be able to cut a few things that I'm not able to cut around here. So
Yeah. Interesting. We'll have to find a way to do some back calls back and forth, right?
there you go.
We'll get some of. I think you guys have great hickory or pecan out there,
Hickory, pecan.
and your oak grows so straight. Our oak we're not so fortunate. So you finally decided to stop sending it to a custom sawyer, and you bought a sawmill. Tell me about that. What made you pull the trigger on that?
Well, I would say for 4 or 5 years paying somebody to cut, with the sawmill, I probably spent $20,000 plus just in milling fees.
Wow.
So and then you start deciding, well, I need to put this tool in my tool bag. And that's when I bought the LT40 with the gasoline engine. It was a wide head. I bought it, and they actually brought it to my house.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got it out of the Missouri facility?
Yep. Will.
Will?
I love Will. Will Ball, I think.
Robot. I need to go visit his facility. His is one of the few Wood Miser locations that I've not visited. So I need to go do that. So you were getting it milled from a company before that. They were in business 30 years. So they were probably an old circle mill. Would that be correct?
No, so it was actually an old Wood Miser. I think it was 1992. So blade wheels that turn the saw blade, they probably needed some new bearings. I never saw them put new blades on it. Like it was the machine that it cut wood, but it would produce some wavy cuts. And that's a problem for me. I don't like wavy cuts.
Yeah. Yeah, they can definitely be maintained. Those oldest ones or even the early 80s models, they can definitely be brought up, but they've definitely got to have some TLC and some of those wear items changed and lubricated and all that good stuff to keep good solid cuts. So tell me, so you started your remodeling homes. Are you still remodeling homes, or are you just
No, the only thing I do is for like, remodeling stuff around my own house. Like I literally stopped remodeling houses for a living and switch 100% wood like in 2018.
okay? So are you selling your lumber, or are you custom milling for others, or what's your gig?
Well, so I bought the sawmills for my own procurement. So I would consider myself like not a typical sawmill because if you go to any sawmill in my state or around the country, you're going to have logs laying on the ground. Is that correct?
Yeah.
My
You
logs aren't my logs aren't laying on the ground. My inventory is standing. So, it's inventory that's standing. They're either healthy trees, they're either degraded trees, dying trees, or they're trees that I'm losing board footage in them because you got whatever going on with them. So my inventory comes from the forest, and it's a selective harvest situation. Very low impact.
So you select what trees you want based upon an order that's coming in, or based upon their disease, or
It's all based upon the tree. Probably have access to over 10,000 acres in my state. And, this is a lot of land that, there's obviously cattle on it. These landowners get paid for their trees. Whenever I cut trees on people's properties, I pay them. And I'm just looking at a tree in a forest or a plot of land and identifying which trees need to be cut out of this. Is this an end of life cycle tree? Is this a tree that's degraded and you can tell that the branches and canopies yellow? My goal is like, I don't want that yellow to go to my stem. I want to cut it out before that happens.
okay.
Uh,
Okay. So you're cutting the trees. What's your market? Who are you selling to?
everybody.
So you're selling, so you don't have log inventory. You're cutting that, or as soon as the logs come down, you cut them.
Yeah.
Does your inventory set, or do you have orders for it before the tree comes out, or how does that business model work?
I literally just stack walnut slabs and stickers and I forget about them.
Okay.
There's not really a model. It's like you need to process this tree. It needs to go somewhere, and it needs to be strapped and stickered. I like to clean off all the sawdust on my slabs before I stack them. And then if I'm gonna wash my boards off, I like to let the surface area dry, or you might induce sticker staining. So once you do that properly and get them all strapped up, you got to forget about them. Wood dries a year per inch. A lot of my wood goes to Texas. Okay. So I got people that have kilns. So like, if you want to speed the process up of drying a piece of wood, you can speed that up with a DH kiln, a vacuum kiln, or I can take my stuff to Ryan and go get it, dried maybe at $3 a board foot, but that's going to cost me $15,000-$20,000 to do.
Yeah.
I don't put money into my wood. I don't put money back into my wood. That's their issue. If you want, I don't like to spend money on the wood. I just like to kind of collect it.
So you collect it, you let it air dry, and then your customers reach out to you and say, "Hey, do you have XYZ?" And then you sell it from there. Like, how are you monetizing that?
Yeah, so I do sell dry wood. Like my most popular dry cut that I can produce myself is going to be a 5/4 board. So a 5/4 board I can dry in like a year. I'll remove all the bark off of it before it goes in its stack, and I have dry inventory right now. It's really hard drying 2-inch pieces of wood in Oklahoma without a kiln. You're needing like 3 to 4 years maybe. And then like
The humidity, the 100% insane humidity.
so many different changes of temperature, and it's wild in Oklahoma. It could be,
No humidity in the winter. So you go from these two extremes. Is that
there's a lot of extremes in Oklahoma's weather and humidity, and I don't like to put fresh cut wood in stacks in the winter because there's no, you might induce mold if you don't have a proper airflow, So my time to cut wood is in the spring and summer, and
okay? Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how each climate is just a little bit different in when you would want to mill, the size of the stickers even to create the right amount of airflow changes. I noticed from region to region, and we had a facility, we're up near Sacramento right now, but we used to have an additional facility down in the Monterey Bay area, and the little microclimates, even from those two, and it's only 3 hours, 3.5 hours south, but it's right on the coast. Things dried a lot better down there than they do up here, and with a lot less checking. And it was just definitely a better drying climate, but it dried slower, which is honestly, when it comes to drying, is the way to go usually. So interesting, interesting. So you kind of went full time. You stopped doing the remodeling. Does anybody ever ask you to make something for them now?
I've made a few things. I'm really not set up to make things. So I have been working with wood for over 20 years. I remember, being wood tech one, two, three, and four, making all these builds, having the access to a planer that's proper, having the joiner and having everything set up. If I want to use my chop saw at my house, I got to pull it out and maybe set it up in the driveway.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
One day I desire to have a shop. I want to have a shop, but I don't have that right now.
Yeah. So it might be on your radar in the future, but it's
Very 100%.
your wheelhouse now. Okay. So what's the most exciting thing that you've done in your career so far now that you've transitioned over to a full-time wood business?
I find it rewarding just cutting logs for people. For instance, like today, I got to go to Piedmont. I got to go cut a bunch of cedar logs for a customer. And then tomorrow, I got to go to Norman and go cut a bunch of pecan, oak, and walnut logs for a customer. So cutting logs for people is really fulfilling because I can go out there. I'm able to hear their kind of goals, and then I'm able to, come with the solution, and I process their material. And then after I leave, they're, 100% happy. They're excited that these logs that aren't on their property anymore and they're sliced up, they're able to manage them and, do something with them. So I just love solving people's problems, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's cool. So in addition to milling logs into lumber for your own use and selling that lumber, you're also doing custom milling for others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, something else I'm curious about, because I know regionally this changes as well. What does your contract look like for custom milling for others? What are you requiring them to have? Are you charging them a setup and a mileage fee, or is it just hourly, or is it board foot? What is your model there?
That's a great question. So I have never done the board footage thing. The customers typically don't have proper saw logs to make it worth your while to cut based off board footage. If they're not set up properly, you're actually going to waste a lot of time and you won't be cutting that many board footage. If you don't have the proper diameter logs, they're not straight, if they're short. So it's hourly. I was cutting at $100 an hour for over 6 years and I had no pushbacks. Okay. I wanted to stay at that price. This year, I just raised my price from 100 to 150 because over those 6 or so years I was cutting for myself, I saw increases every year. I never extended that to a customer.
Right, right. Your blades are more expensive. Your fuel is more expensive. Yeah, the belts. Oh my gosh, and all the little wear items on your wood miser.
My sawmill went from, I bought it, my second wood miser went from $40,000 in 2020 in the height of COVID. That's what I paid for it, $41,000. It cost me $60,000 to replace right now. It was like a no-brainer to go from 100 to $150 an hour. So I charge $150 an hour, and then there's a setup fee. So I like my setup fee to be typically $200. So that's like the minimum. I don't care if you're 30 minutes away. It's a $200 setup fee because it's the same amount of time for me to accomplish your goals, to cut 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Whenever I'm loaded up, I can cut 24 hours and not have to come back home.
Right.
So I just like to charge setup fee and an hourly rate. An hourly rate starts whenever the sawmill is set up. And if you have a location that's not sawmill worthy, there's going to be extended cost on me setting up. So if you have to have me set up on a hill, time's going to start whenever I get to your property because I'm spending 2.5 hours moving the earth to, accomplish your goals. So by the hour, 100%.
Yeah. We don't do mobile milling anymore. We refer that out to our wonderful customers in this area. But when we did, absolutely a setup fee every single time, because you are getting that mill ready. You're setting it up correctly. You're all of those things. And we never once milled by the board foot. It had to be by the hour because you don't know what you're getting.
Metal.
Right.
Metal costs you $30 a blade. If we hit metal, that's an unexpected cost that's not going to come out of my pocket. You're charged $30, which is low. The blade cost me $27. I'm making $3 on it.
Yeah, we have a hardware clause is always good to have in there, and then understanding another thing that I think is good is understanding what the customer's expectations are.
Absolutely.
We were shocked, like I said, back when we used to go out and do mobile milling, we were shocked to find that some people really expected you to pull all that slab and sawdust off of their property when you were done. So explaining those things to the customers up front, what is covered and what is not covered. And
Is so important.
yeah, do they have a skid steer or a little bobcat? Do they have a way to move logs? Are they moving them for you, or are you expecting, what really establishing and having those conversations on what the expectations are is huge.
I will not cut for somebody unless I have a phone call with them, because when I have that phone call, I like to, get their goals. I let them know, like, what are your expectations on this huge mess I'm going to create? Because I'm not going to clean it up and I'm not taking it with me. Now, if you wanted to pay me to clean it up, I'll put it somewhere, but like I'm leaving all the sawdust, all the offcuts in the pile, and I'm done.
And I think that is the biggest, that having those conversations and setting those expectations up front keeps your customers happy. It's
You have to.
afterwards that can really mess you up.
Proper communication is so important, and doing what you say you're going to do. If I tell a customer I'm going to be at their property at 7:30 in the morning, I'm typically going to be early, because if I'm not early, I'm late. So
Good.
that's that.
Yeah, very, very, very smart, very wise. Are there any trends or issues in this industry that you just feel really strongly about?
A little. There's a little. I have a passion behind a few things in the industry that kind of frustrate me, if I had to be honest. I would say, so there's a disease in the country called thousand cankers disease, okay? It kills a walnut tree. Well, I've been planting walnut trees for the past 10 years. I'm not trying to boast or brag. I just think it's important to replant trees. But what frustrates me is people from out of state coming into my state and cutting every single walnut tree down on the property and leaving. Okay. And then those logs go into shipping containers and they're sent to China, which is completely fine. It's a free market. But I would recommend that a 12 and 13, 14, 15-inch wide diameter healthy tree shouldn't be cut right now. If it's healthy, why are we cutting it? I want my son to cut a 30-inch wide tree in 30 years. Why are we cutting this 15-inch wide walnut tree? Because of greed. They want the money now. They don't want to wait. And so I have access to thousands of trees. I go cut down 500 trees next month if I wanted to. But is that a sustainable path to procure the material properly? I don't think so. So just kind of like managing forest properly is important to me. I don't like the fact that people come from out of state and target our logs because their forests are infected with thousand cankers. Every state connected to Oklahoma is infected with thousand cankers disease. Why are they targeting all of our trees?
Mm-hmm.
So it's free market, but I wish we would leave more trees than cut all of them. There's no reason to cut 12 and 14, 15-inch wide walnut trees. That's the emphasis.
So a little more selective harvest and
100%.
Sure. Right. Okay. Yeah. So what can you do about it?
I think education is very important.
There you go. Okay.
I will say I've cut for over 250 people in my state. That's just like paying customers. There's also been 12 to 15 different people that have their own sawmills. Okay. So you have a Woodlands mill, you have a Timber King, or you might even have a Wood Miser or Alaskan mill. These people reach out to me and they need me to cut their logs because they know I can cut 40 or 50 logs in a day. I think the most important thing is make sure you know what the person that is going to, like, what are they going to do on your property? Are they going to come in and take all your trees down, and are they going to clean up their mess? Are they going to leave a bunch of liabilities laid over? Like, I've come onto people's properties after loggers come on, and you have canopies tied up in other canopies. All the stems are missing.
Yeah.
They're nowhere to be found. You can't call them. They're not coming back. They're gone. So I just think I think it's important to treat the land with respect, harvest trees properly. A lot of people see the dollars behind the walnut tree and they get excited and they want to cut the tree down. Well, if you're not cutting this tree down properly, you're actually going to cause a bunch of cracks in my tree that you want to sell me. So I don't like buying trees other people cut. I want to cut them because I want to put my face cut in there. I'm going to plunge cut the tree. The tree's not going to move a millimeter until I tell it to move. After I plunge cut the tree and I form a proper hinge, I'm going to lay this tree down properly. The tree hasn't moved at all. And you know what? We're going to actually be able to utilize the tree fully, because sometimes people, if you don't cut the tree down properly and you say you have a bunch of fiber tear or shake that's caused from the improper falling of the tree, those cracks are going to be in your boards. So doing things right is important. So make sure you know who's coming on your property to cut the trees and know exactly what they're going to do. And maybe reach out to somebody that they've done work for in the past.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the last
Girls. Yeah. The walnut trees out here is Clara walnut. We're in Clara walnut country out here. And the orchards, they'll take and they'll put the Clara walnut rootstock and then they'll put English grafted on there. So you literally have two species in one tree or two different types of walnut in one tree. And so often people will come up and they'll fall the tree super high, you know, and it's like, wait, the beauty of it, like some of these, they'll even have burl, or sometimes it's just, as it's growing, they'll just fall it and you're wasting all this wood. But if you dig down under there, you'll have 3-4 feet underground of beautiful wood. And so we frequently kind of, analyze the trees and actually excavate around them instead of falling it, what the natural, earth or natural place to fall would be. And you just recover some of the most beautiful wood that you can imagine. So
It's a lot easier to recover those stumps, so by leaving the log on it, and because you guys have the equipment to do that, you can dig out around the base of all the roots and push them over and get them out of there. So like, I love a big log that has a massive root flare on it. Like I love that.
Yeah. And some people hate that. They want they want it perfect. And I'm like, well,
they can cut it off.
And it's coffee table out of this, but I hate waste. We around here you'll just see orchards just being piled up and burned. And I know I was in Oklahoma earlier this summer and I saw the same thing going on out there. And it's like, hey, why are you doing this to these trees? They have value. And I'm a huge advocate of repurposing what is thought to be waste and giving it a second life.
I heard this thing. They say that wood and trees are one of the rarest things in the universe because they don't know of any other trees other than on planet Earth. So if you looked at the universe as a whole, it's like trees are so valuable to us because they produce the oxygen that we need and all the things that they do. So trees are very important. I love trees.
Yeah, definitely. I work with a nonprofit where we replant trees in the urban wood world, USRW certified urban woods. And one of the things that we do is we replant trees. Last year we planted, I think, 200 trees, and we try to plant trees that have the highest end of life use when they come to the end of their life cycle. So acacia, walnuts, maples, and things that have a value versus a crepe myrtle that's, what can we do with that afterwards? That's its life cycle. It may be twigs, but
that I'm so glad you mentioned that, because if you think about it, like my state will have celebrations and they just planted 200 Bradford pear trees. I'm just saying, let's say you plant these non-native, invasive species, in my opinion, you're actually planting the future race stream for the next generation. So I see all the time, all these trees in the city, all this urban, wood getting chipped. If there are walnut trees, those trees wouldn't be getting chipped right now. So plant a tree that you can actually use in the future and that will collect its carbon during its lifetime.
Right. And let it keep sequestering that carbon once it's done, as it, you turn it into lumber and it's storing that carbon inside. I know there's we went to the park there in Tulsa, and all the parks have this, what is it, up with trees or grow with trees? There's like a Oklahoma slogan.
Did you go to the gathering place?
Maybe.
You need to go to the gathering place. There's a massive walnut tree over there. It might be 40 inches in diameter, breast height. Okay. So the thing about places, they treat these trees. So they drill into them, and you'll see this nail with this little silver thing, and that tree's been treated. They don't want this tree to grow naturally. They want to slow its growth because they're getting too big, and they do that all over the place. So if there's any trees underneath power lines, they'll treat them, and it literally, I see them, they die a lot of the times. I just let trees grow.
Yeah, I had never heard of that. The gathering place sounds really familiar. Is that like a park?
It's a park. Yeah. Some billionaire donated it to the
Yeah.
city, and it's a
Yeah.
multi-million dollar
That's where we
beautiful place.
Yeah. Yeah. How funny. How funny. So, what's one thing you wish more people understood, like about your business and just your industry in general?
I would say you just find a way to, work hard and contribute to society the best you can. I think that a lot of people at one point in time, I would say that some people think that whenever you have a sawmill, you might be rich. You selling those slabs for $100, or you're selling this or this, and they don't see the amount of work behind the cut.
Or
There's
how long?
so many more.
Right.
They don't see the work behind the cut. So there's so much work involved if you desire to own your own wood miser. I think anybody can do it. You just can't give up. I've failed many times with, things, and you just gotta figure out a way to persevere. And owning a wood miser is not easy work unless you have a bunch of complementary equipment. So do you have a conveyor belt to take all your slabs off? Do you have a skid steer? Do you have a tractor? Do you have people, doing your thing? Like, my business is so small, my overhead's $365 a month, and that's it. I have the freedom of time. So the biggest blessing I have for myself is I have the freedom of time. None of my assets, I didn't have to finance my wood miser. I purchased them in cash. So I have the freedom of time, and I like to keep my overhead low. I actually want to eliminate that 365.
Yeah. Well, let me know your strategy on doing that. I'm curious.
Oh, we're not getting into, insurance for the truck and stuff like that. We're just talking about those that you see.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
They're a small footprint, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a little bit different. So you mentioned failures. Tell me about what you see as your biggest failure or challenge and kind of how you overcame it and kept going.
My biggest failure, wow. I would say there was a time I used to use my sawmill every single day. Every single day. Okay. I was chasing logs, any species. I now only procure walnut by choice because it allows me to always procure the walnut tree. And then I don't have to worry about all these other trees that come at me. It kind of overwhelms you. So there was a time I used to cut every single day with my sawmill, because it's kind of addicting. You turn an oak log that you just got yesterday, spice it up, and you turn it into $1,000 once. How many times do you want to go do that again? Well, it can be addicting. So I used to love using my sawmill every day, cutting wood up, turning these logs that were going to go into the landfill into like $100 bills. I would say that that took a lot of family time from me, and it was like a turning point in my life because I knew it wasn't sustainable. I couldn't continue to, work $100 a week. So 3 or so years ago, I stopped working that much. I decided that I'm not going to procure the whitewood trees because it overwhelmed me. It overwhelmed me with family, with my wife. I have 2 kids and I have a third one on the way. So
I saw that. Congratulations.
I'm just like, just want to make sure that I'm not overworking myself because I'm a workaholic. It's very easy for me to go work 100 hours a week.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that is very wise that you saw that and made some changes because as much as we can get addicted to what we love in our work and with trees, I mean, trees are so amazing. It is easy to get addicted to that and to get addicted to success or the being the best or doing the most or opening up, oh, I want to see what that log looks like. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is family. And so
Absolutely.
very wise choice. I mean, at the end of the day, even though we love what we do it for family. We do it for those moments.
Absolutely.
So when's baby number 3 due?
November 3rd or 4th. It's a scheduled C-sections. All the kids have been C-sections because they're kind of breech babies when they're held in the womb, and they're like required to do C-sections with my wife. So it's scheduled.
Got it.
Just praying and hoping that everything goes smoothly and we have a healthy baby. So
Yeah, yeah, of course. So you've got one of each now.
we do. We won't know what this next one is.
How fun, well, exciting. Well, the third one will be healthy and we'll pray with you for a healthy, successful birth for and that mama feels great afterwards.
Yes.
All right. Well, Zach, how people connect with you? How can they find you? And if they want some custom cutting or want some of your amazing walnut out there, how do they connect with you?
The best way to find me is like Wood by Wicks on Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube. And then I'm not afraid to give my number out, 405-562-0707. That's my personal number. If you have logs in the state, you reach out to me, we'll have a conversation and we'll make it happen. So
All right. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on. Any parting words? Anything I can help you with? Any questions you might have?
I would say all things are possible through Christ. Continue to grind and continue to persevere through your challenges. And I hope
That,
you guys take it today.
that's awesome. Love it. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Zach, for being on today. And thank you for listening to another episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast.